First Contact and Ultimatum. The Sarathian vessels emerged from the starless void between Uranus and Neptune, their obsidian hulls absorbing, rather than reflecting, the distant sunlight. 12 ships in formation, each the size of Manhattan, move with eerie precision toward the inner planets. Earth's long-range observatories detected them first. Unusual gravitational distortions followed by the sudden appearance of objects moving at impossible speeds. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in UNDF headquarters beneath Mont Blanc, her weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of holographic displays. At 58, she had dedicated her life to preparing for this very moment, though many had hoped it would never come. Confirmation on the objects, she asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant Commander Okafor nodded. Definitely artificial, Admiral. They're decelerating in a controlled manner that defies our understanding of physics. No natural phenomenon could explain it. How long until they reach Earth's orbit? At current velocity, approximately 48 hours. Vasquez nodded. Alert the Security Council. Priority Omega. On the lead vessel, the Dominant Will, Supreme Commander Zarax observed the blue-green world through advanced sensory arrays. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of satisfaction among his kind. Analysis of the third planet. He asked his science officer. Life-bearing, abundant water, significant biodiversity, replied Science Director Kath. Their technology is primitive. We detect rudimentary nuclear capabilities, no effective orbital defenses, moderate satellite coverage primarily for communication. Perfect, Zarax said, his voice a deep resonant vibration. They will make excellent subjects. Send the standard ultimatum. The Sarathian message reached Earth 18 minutes later. It was simultaneously broadcast on all frequencies in perfect English, Mandarin, Russian, Arabic, Spanish, and 12 other major languages. People of Earth, we are the Sarathian Imperium. Your world has been claimed for integration into our domain. You will surrender all governmental authority, natural resources, and military capabilities. In exchange, your species will be permitted limited autonomy under Sarathian governance. Resistance is futile and will result in planetary sterilization. You have 72 Earth hours to respond with your unconditional surrender. This is our only communication. Within 3 hours, the United Nations Security Council convened in an emergency session. The room was tense as world leaders faced the first confirmed contact with an extraterrestrial civilization, one that had immediately threatened humanity's existence. UN Secretary General Amara Okonkwo stood at the podium, her usual diplomatic composure strained. Ladies and gentlemen, we face an unprecedented crisis. The alien vessels have maintained their approach vector. All attempts at further communication have been ignored. The Russian president leaned forward. What military options do we have? Can we launch a preemptive strike? Admiral Vasquez stepped forward. Our analysis suggests their technology far exceeds our own. Conventional weapons would likely prove ineffective. Then we must negotiate, suggested the Chinese premier. Perhaps we can offer limited resources in exchange for our autonomy. The room erupted in overlapping voices until the American president, Dr. Maya Chen, raised her hand. The room fell silent. We will neither surrender nor negotiate with terms set under duress, she said quietly, with unmistakable resolve. Admiral Vasquez, I believe it's time. All eyes turned to the admiral. Many in the room didn't understand the significance of the president's words, but Vasquez did. She approached a secure terminal and placed her palm on the scanner. A hidden panel revealed a series of biometric authentication systems. Madam President, are you authorizing Project Aegis? She asked formally. I am. The Chinese premier stood abruptly. What is Project Aegis? Why haven't we been informed? Dr. Chen's expression remained calm. Because until this moment, it was a contingency we hoped would never be necessary. Admiral, brief them. Admiral Vasquez activated a secure holographic display. For the past 30 years, A coalition of nations has been developing advanced defensive technologies in absolute secrecy. Following the mysterious crash of an unidentified craft in Antarctica in 2092, we reverse-engineered technologies far beyond our current scientific understanding. The display showed facilities buried deep beneath oceans, within mountains, and hidden in plain sight around the world. Project Aegis consists of 3 components: a planetary shield matrix, offensive countermeasures, and deep space monitoring systems. We've maintained complete secrecy through compartmentalization. Less than 200 people on Earth knew the full scope of the project. Stunned silence filled the room as the implications became clear. "You're saying we can fight them?" the Brazilian president asked, incredulity evident in his voice. "No," Vasquez corrected. "I'm saying we can win." Aboard the dominant Will, Zarax reviewed the sensor data with growing impatience. No response yet. "Nothing, Supreme Commander," his communications officer reported. "They continue to increase their military readiness, but we detect no significant weapons capability that could threaten our vessels." "Typical primitive response," Zarax said dismissively. "They posture and prepare when they should accept the inevitable. Prepare the demonstration strike. Target their largest military installation, their Pentagon structure." "Compliance," the weapons officer acknowledged. "Kinetic impactor ready for deployment. Launch when ready. Let them understand the futility of resistance." The Xarathian ship released a small projectile, accelerating it to near relativistic speeds. Their calculations showed it would reach Earth's atmosphere in 17 minutes and demonstrate their overwhelming technological superiority. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the command center designated Trench Prime, Dr. Layla Sharma monitored the alien fleet's movements. At 43, she was the leading expert on the adapted alien technologies that formed the backbone of Project Aegis. "They've launched something," she announced, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Small mass, extreme velocity, impact trajectory suggests the Pentagon." Admiral Vasquez, who had arrived minutes earlier, nodded grimly. "As expected, they're making a demonstration. Dr. Sharma, activate the shield." "Shield matrix coming online," Sharma confirmed. "Quantum entanglement stabilized. Energy diffusion protocols active." Around the planet, thousands of seemingly ordinary satellites, ocean buoys, and weather stations simultaneously transformed, unfurling hidden components and linking into a planetary defense network 3 decades in the making. The Xarathian projectile entered Earth's upper atmosphere, burning white-hot as air molecules were forcibly displaced. It was designed to penetrate deep into the planetary crust before detonating with force equivalent to a 500 megaton explosion. But as it reached the lower atmosphere, it encountered something unexpected. The space around the projectile shimmered momentarily before the object simply vanished, its kinetic energy absorbed and redistributed harmlessly throughout the shield matrix. On the dominant Will, alarms blared as sensors registered the impossible. "Supreme Commander," the science officer called out, his voice elevated with concern. "The weapon, it disappeared." "Impossible," Zarax snarled. "Verify systems." "All systems functioning correctly," the officer replied. The projectile was intercepted by some form of energy field surrounding the planet, a field our initial scans failed to detect. Zarax's expression hardened. "Launch a full barrage, multiple targets, maximum yield." "Supreme Commander, our protocols for species integration suggest." "Do it now," Zarax commanded, rising from his command chair. As the Xarathian ships prepared to unleash their full arsenal, a transmission cut through their communication systems. On every screen throughout the fleet appeared the face of President Chen, composed and resolute. "Xarathian vessels, this is President Maya Chen of the United Earth Alliance. Your demonstration has failed. We have absorbed your weapon and converted its energy to fuel our defenses. Your 72-hour ultimatum is rejected. Instead, we offer you 1 hour to withdraw from our solar system. Any further hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. This is our only warning. Zarak stared at the transmission in disbelief before rage overtook him. Fire everything. Sterilize the planet. The Xarathian fleet launched their full arsenal, energy beams, relativistic projectiles, and exotic matter warheads, all directed at Earth's major cities and military installations. Each weapon disappeared upon contact with the planetary shield, absorbed into the quantum matrix. In Trench Prime, Dr. Sharma monitored the shield's performance. Shield holding at 82% capacity. Energy stores approaching critical mass. Admiral Vasquez nodded. They've made their choice. Prepare countermeasures. Countermeasures armed, confirmed General Ibrahim Nasir, who commanded the offensive systems. Targeting solutions locked. Awaiting final authorization. President Chen's voice came through the secure channel. You have authorization, Admiral. Minimal force doctrine applies. Disable, don't destroy. Acknowledged, Madam President, Vasquez replied. She turned to General Nasir. Execute Operation Thunderclap. Humanity's response and aftermath. Across Earth's oceans, massive underwater platforms rose slightly from their hiding places on the seabed. Each housed energy projection systems reverse-engineered from the Antarctic crash. In geosynchronous orbit, stealth satellites shed their camouflage, revealing weapons arrays designed with technology humanity officially shouldn't possess for centuries. The first human counterattack was precisely targeted. Beams of coherent energy, calibrated to the exact frequency of the Xarathian shields, lanced through space. 3 smaller vessels in the alien fleet suddenly lost power, their engines and weapons disabled while life support remained intact. On the dominant will, chaos erupted as systems failed across the bridge. Shields compromised, shouted the defense officer. They've matched our harmonic frequencies perfectly. Impossible. Zarax roared. How could they know? Another energy beam struck the flagship, more powerful than the first. Non-essential systems went dark as emergency lighting bathed the command center in a crimson glow. Primary weapons offline, reported the tactical officer, her voice tight with disbelief. Propulsion at 30%. 3 support vessels completely disabled. Zarax gripped his command chair, mandibles clicking in agitation. How? They're primitives. Their technological level is centuries behind ours. Science Director Keth approached cautiously. Supreme Commander, I've analyzed their defensive field. The technology, it's Xarathian. What did you say? Zarax hissed. The quantum harmonics, the energy signature patterns, they are using our technology. Adapted, modified, but unmistakably based on Xarathian principles. Before Zarax could respond, another transmission cut through their systems. This time, it was Admiral Vasquez who appeared on their screens. This will be our final communication before we take more decisive action, she stated calmly. We have disabled 7 of your vessels. The remaining 5, including your command ship, are targeted. We could destroy your entire fleet, but that is not our way. She paused, letting the implications sink in. We have been aware of the Xarathian Imperium for 31 years, since we recovered and studied one of your scout ships that crashed in Antarctica. We know your capabilities, your protocols, even your command structures. We know the location of your homeworld, Taref Prime, and your 6 major colony worlds. Behind Zarax, the bridge crew froze in stunned silence. To demonstrate our capabilities, Vasquez continued, we have transmitted the deactivation codes for your ship's secondary reactor. It will power down in exactly 10 seconds. As predicted, the secondary power systems throughout the Dominant will shut down, leaving only emergency power. How is this possible? Whispered the communications officer. Admiral Vasquez's expression remained impassive. You have 30 minutes to signal your unconditional withdrawal from our system. After that, we will disable all remaining vessels and bring your crews to Earth as prisoners of war. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Director Keth approached cautiously. Commander, analysis confirms they used authentic command codes. Codes that should only be known to Imperial High Command. Zerax's rage had given way to a cold, calculating fury. Options. Limited, sir, replied his tactical officer. We've lost 7 ships. Our weapons are ineffective against their shields. They clearly possess technology equal or superior to our own. The science director added, and if they truly know the location of Atarath Prime. The implication hung in the air. No species had ever discovered the location of the Tarathian homeworld. Their entire expansion strategy relied on attacking from positions of overwhelming technological superiority, while keeping their own civilization secure from reprisal. Supreme Commander, the communications officer interrupted, we're receiving transmissions from the disabled vessels. Life support is functioning, but all crew are confined to their quarters by force fields we cannot disable. Zerax closed his 4 eyes briefly. In 3 centuries of expansion, the Imperium had never faced such a situation. Their entire contact protocol was built around the assumption of technological superiority. Send the withdrawal signal, he finally ordered, his voice barely audible. His second-in-command stared in shock. Commander, Imperial Protocol forbids. Imperial Protocol did not anticipate encountering a species with our own technology. Zerax snapped. Signal the withdrawal. Now. As the Xarathian fleet limped away from Earth, their disabled vessels were towed by the remaining operational ships. A summit was convened in Geneva. World leaders gathered to discuss the implications of what had just occurred. We should pursue them, argued the Russian president. Strike while they're vulnerable. Show them the cost of threatening Earth. Admiral Vasquez shook her head. That would be a mistake. We've demonstrated our capabilities and shown restraint. That sends a more powerful message than destruction. President Chen nodded in agreement. Our goal was defensive, not punitive. Besides, we have another advantage. She nodded to Dr. Sharma, who activated a holographic display. During the encounter, we launched 3 quantum-entangled probes. Dr. Sharma explained. They attach to the Xarathian vessels and will transmit their coordinates as they return to their territory. We'll be able to monitor their movements for years. 6 months later, a single Xarathian vessel approached Earth's orbit. Unlike the previous warships, this was clearly a diplomatic craft, smaller with minimal weapon signatures. It maintained a respectful distance and transmitted a request for communication. In the Geneva Global Council chamber, President Chen and Admiral Vasquez watched as the Xarathian envoy appeared on the main display. It was not Zerax, but an older, more decorated official. I am High Emissary Tholan of the Xarathian Imperium, the alien announced. I come with the authority of the Imperial Conclave to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. This is unexpected, President Chen replied carefully. Your previous representative was less interested in diplomacy. Commander Zerax has been reassigned, Tholan stated, with what might have been the Xarathian equivalent of embarrassment. His assessment of your civilization was flawed. The Imperium acknowledges its error and seeks to correct it. Admiral Vasquez leaned forward. Why should we trust you now? Because circumstances have changed, Tholan replied simply. You have demonstrated capabilities that demand respect. Moreover, you showed restraint when you could have destroyed our fleet. This suggests you may be valuable as allies rather than subjects. Over the following weeks, negotiations established the first interstellar treaty between Earth and an alien civilization. The Xarathians recognized Earth's sovereignty and territorial claims to the entire solar system. In exchange, humanity agreed to limited technology sharing and trade relations. 1 year after the first Xarathian vessels entered the solar system, Admiral Vasquez stood in her office overlooking Lake Geneva. Dr. Sharma joined her, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. 2 unexpected outcomes, Sharma offered, raising her glass. Vasquez smiled slightly. Indeed, the Xarathians have kept their word so far. their diplomatic delegation has been surprisingly forthcoming about the wider galactic community. 27 known spacefaring civilizations. Sharma mused. Most at technological levels similar to the Xarathians, and now they all know about us. That's what concerns me, Vask has admitted. We revealed more of our capabilities than I would have preferred. But not all of them. Sharma reminded her with a knowing smile. The Phase EU developments remain completely secret. Vask has nodded, looking out at the peaceful lake. Let's hope we never need them. In the vast darkness between stars, Earth's monitoring probes tracked the movements of ships and communications. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as defenders who had earned respect through strength and restraint. The message had spread quickly among the spacefaring civilizations. Earth was not to be threatened. The species that had once thought itself alone in the universe now stood as an emerging power, watching and waiting, prepared for whatever the cosmos might bring next.